If you're living in the US in 2025 and constantly wondering why your paycheck seems to disappear the moment it arrives, why your savings account never grows, why credit cards keep pulling you deeper, or why investing still feels like something other people understand but you don't, then this story is going to hit home. Because today, you're going to follow the journey of someone just like you, someone juggling bills, debt, rising rent, and financial stress who finally discovered a simple, realistic system that transformed his entire money life. And the best part? Every strategy he used is something you can start doing tonight. In the early weeks of 2025, on a cold January morning in New Jersey, a 29-year-old IT worker named Alex stood beside his small apartment window, staring at the snow-covered parking lot and thinking about how strange life had become. He had a decent job, a reasonable salary, and yet every month ended the exact same way, his bank balance hovering near zero, his credit cards nearly maxed out, and a constant pressure in his chest, as if he were drowning in bills nobody had ever prepared him for. And as he stood there, he wondered how so many people made it look easy, while he felt like he was running on a treadmill. But what he didn't know at that moment was that his financial life was about to shift dramatically because of one late-night realization in a system he would eventually build from scratch, a system anyone could use regardless of their income, background, or experience. It all started one random Thursday night when Alex was scrolling through YouTube, exhausted after work eating leftover pizza, and feeling defeated by another round of bills that landed in his inbox, rent going up by another $120, his car insurance increasing, grocery prices climbing like crazy, and his credit card statement showing an interesty charge of $146 just for carrying a $6,000 balance. And when a video popped up titled, "You don't need more money, you need a system," he almost skipped it. But something inside made him click, and the creator said a sentence that burned into Alex's mind. Money grows when you put it inside a system, not inside your emotions. That line hit him hard, because Alex realized for the first time that he didn't actually have a financial plan. He had reactions, stress, panic, and spontaneous decisions, but no structure. So the next morning, he grabbed an old notebook and decided to face the truth by writing down every single dollar. Monthly expense, $900 rent, $210 utilities, $80 internet, $65 phone, $520 groceries, $410 car payment, $180 car insurance, $120 gas, $250 eating out, $75 subscriptions, $300 random Amazon purchases, and $180 minimum payment on his credit card. When he added it all up, the number $4,290 felt like a punch to the gut because his take-home pay was around $4,600, leaving him with roughly $310 left over. And yet he felt broke every month, which meant the leftover money wasn't actually left over, it was leaking out. Through unplanned spending, impulse buys, and emotional decisions. Instead of spiraling into stress, Alex took a breath and remembered that sentence from the video. So he decided to rebuild his financial life using a clear structure, starting with a modified version of the 60-20-15-5 budget, 60% to needs, 20% to investing, 15% to wants, and 5% to emergency savings. But because the US economy was expensive and inflation wasn't slowing down, he had to adjust things realistically. He brought his dining out budget from $250 down to $80 by meal prepping on Sundays, canceled 3 unnecessary subscriptions, started shopping for groceries with a list instead of randomly tossing things into the cart, and reduced his Amazon impulse purchases from $300 to $100. These small yet intentional cuts freed up $450 every month, something he never imagined was possible without earning more money. With breathing room finally created, he turned to the one thing that had always intimidated him: investing. He had always believed investing was complicated, risky, and only for wealthy people who understood stock charts and financial jargon. But after watching several educational videos and reading beginner articles, he learned that investing for beginners is actually incredibly simple when you use index funds, especially the S&P 500 SPY, total stock market, VTI, and international funds, VXs, all of which have historically returned around 8 to 10% over long periods. So Alex opened his first brokerage account, feeling nervous like he was stepping into another world, and invested $100 into VU, $50 into VTI, and $25 into Vexus. It wasn't much, but it was the first time in his life he had ever bought something that could grow instead of depreciate. After setting up his account, he turned on automatic investing, $250 a month, so he could set it and forget it rather than rely on motivation. Then he checked on something he had ignored for years. His employer's 401k. He discovered his employer offered a 4% match, meaning if he contributed 4% of his salary, they would give him free money equal to that amount. He activated the match instantly, amazed that he had been missing out on hundreds of dollars every year simply because he never bothered to look. Next, he learned about Roth IRAs, retirement accounts where your investments grow completely tax-free, and even though he couldn't max it out right away, he committed to contributing whatever he could, aiming to reach the annual $7,000 limit eventually. His next upgrade was switching his emergency savings into a high-yield savings account, ISA, earning 4 to 5% interest instead of sitting in a PARE, regular bank earning practically nothing. By February, Alex had taken more control of his money than he had in the previous 5 years combined. But the real momentum began when he realized he needed to increase his income to speed up progress and reduce reliance on his salary. So he signed up for weekend Uber Eats deliveries, working 4 to 6 hours every Saturday or Sunday, making an extra $400-600 each month. And he decided every single dollar from that side hustle would go into investments, not lifestyle upgrades. This move alone nearly doubled the amount he invested each month, pushing his annual investment projection from roughly $3,000 to over $8,000. After 8 months of consistent investing and disciplined budgeting, he opened his brokerage app and saw something he had never seen before. Instead of being in debt behind on bills or drowning in interest charges, he had an investment portfolio worth $4,900, built from deposits totaling $4,500, meaning he had actually made a profit, not huge, but enough to prove to himself that investing was not only doable but powerful. Meanwhile, he also tackled his credit card debt using the avalanche method, paying off the card with the highest interest rate first while making minimum payments on the others, knocking down his $6,000 balance to zero within 6 months using side hustle income and leftover budget savings. This instantly freed up $180 each month, which he redirected into his investment plan. By the time the end of 2025 rolled around, Alex had done what he thought was impossible just 1 year earlier. He had over $10,000 invested across his Roth IRA, 401k, and brokerage account, an emergency fund with nearly $3,000, zero credit card debt, and more importantly, peace of mind, confidence, and a sense of control he had never experienced as an adult. He wasn't rich, far from it, but he finally understood that wealth isn't built overnight. It's built through systems, habits, and small consistent steps that compound over years. He learned that being in the U.S. isn't enough to succeed financially. You have to use the tools, tax advantages, and long-term opportunities available here. Automatic investing, employer match, Roth IRA, ISA, index funds, side hustle income, disciplined budgeting, and protection against lifestyle inflation. And when friends asked him how he turned everything around, he would smile and say, "I stopped trying to get rich quickly, and I started getting rich consistently." Alex's story isn't special, it's typical, relatable, and entirely achievable for anyone in America who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or behind. Because the same system that changed his life can change anyone's. Spend less than you earn, automate your investing, use tax-advantaged accounts, eliminate high-interest debt, increase income when possible, and give your investments time to grow. And if you're reading this right now, wondering whether this could be your story too, the answer is simple, yes, because everything Alex did started with one small decision: to finally build a system instead of living paycheck to paycheck without one. Even after reaching the end of 2025 with more savings, zero credit card debt, and over $10,000 invested, Alex felt something new growing inside him, momentum. For the first time in his adult life, he wasn't afraid to check his bank balance, open his investment apps, or look at his financial statements. He actually felt excited, almost proud. And that feeling became the fuel that pushed him into the next chapter of his life. Instead of slowing down after his big wins, he decided to use the start of 2026 to level up even further. He realized that money success wasn't a one-time achievement. It was a skill you sharpened again and again. So he made a new rule. Every month, he would upgrade one area of his financial life. Some months it would be learning something new. Other months increasing income. And sometimes just fixing old habits. His first upgrade came in January when he refinanced his car. Loan at a lower interest rate, dropping his monthly payment by $60. He instantly redirected that $60 straight into his brokerage account. In February, he researched long-term wealth builders and added a new investment category, REITs, giving him exposure to real estate without buying property. By spring, something unexpected happened. His friends started noticing his calmness, his discipline, and the subtle but steady improvement in his lifestyle. Not flashy, not showy, just stable. One of his coworkers asked him during lunch, "Oh man, how did you turn everything around?" That question made Alex smile, because a year earlier he would have been embarrassed to talk about money. Now? He pulled out his notebook and said, "It's simple. I built a system and stuck to it." That conversation changed everything. Soon more people from his office and community started asking for simple advice. Alex began hosting tiny Money Sunday hangouts at a local cafe, where he'd teach people about budgeting, automatic investing, Roth IRAs, and how to stop drowning in credit cards. His goal wasn't to be a guru, it was to help people avoid the pain he once lived through, and the more he taught, the more he learned. By midsummer, he found a new passion, creating digital content. He started recording small videos explaining compound growth, how index funds work, how side hustles can change your life, and the mental side of money. But one of his videos, "The System That Saved My Life," went viral on TikTok and YouTube, hitting millions of views within days. The comments were filled with people saying, "This is exactly what I needed, and you explained money better than anyone." With that new momentum, Alex created an online financial community where beginners could learn, step by step, just like he did. He didn't try to sell anything expensive. He stayed true to the simple,